Vernomatic Productions.
Are you ready?
Live from the Metal Mayhem Studios in Rochester, New York.
We are gold. We are gold.
And heard around the world by metalheads just like you. This is Metal Mayhem ROC.
Heavy metal music.
Your weekly dose of metal music, interviews, album reviews, news, and more. Want to be part of the show? Send us a message through our website, metalmayhemroc.com, or hit us up on Facebook and Twitter. Search Metal Mayhem ROC.
It's getting nice and heavy.
Now, welcome our hosts, John the Vernomatic Verno, and direct from New Jersey, Metal Walt.
Good evening, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well, staying healthy, and continuing to enjoy this beautiful summer of 2025. As always, we want to remind you we're proud members of the Pantheon Media Podcast Network. It's the home of some of the top-tier music and sports podcasts around. Come out and check us out at pantheonpodcast.com. Again, that's pantheonpodcast.com. Well, tonight we're bringing you an epic conversation with legendary rock singer and songwriter Russ Ballard. Man, this dude's written it all. He's written for Rainbow, Ace Frehley, so many others. He joins us to talk about the moments that shaped his career, along with the creation of his brand new double album. Metal Walt, again, you're coming around with a killer interview. Give us a little insight on this conversation with Russ.
Russ is probably one of the biggest songwriters in the history of rock music. And John, I will just tell you, I know this will go down at the end of this calendar year as one of my favorite interviews. I mean, the conversation was just amazing. He's 81 years old. He's just a joy to be around. He's loving life. And a funny story to this, halfway through my interview, my Wi-Fi went out. It blanked out completely and I couldn't get back on. And I thought I lost the interview. Well, sure enough, I was able to hit our publicist up, and Russ agreed to come on the next day and even wore the same clothes, so it was uniformed. My God, what a nice guy. But you know, John, like, you think of a guy like this, he's written so many songs that we all know of, and it doesn't just go in the hard rock stuff. Like you mentioned, Kiss, Argent, Ace Frehley, America, Roger Daltrey, Santana. You know, he's written stuff on movie soundtracks, you know, the Miami Vice TV show, on and on and on. And it just seems to come easy for this guy. When I asked him about a lot of these songs, you know, he was giving me these little ditties. Like he was like saying, oh, yeah, when I wrote this is how I sang it. And this is how I imagined it. I mean, just an absolute joy to be able to speak to this guy. And I think our listeners are going to totally sink their teeth into this and like eat it up.
Oh, yeah. Like, when I was listening back to this, I was amazed by a lot of little tidbits and, like you said, weird acts that isn't really in our arena of hard rock and metal, but still legendary acts. The one song that he did share that he wrote that I'm a big fan of is the Ace Frehley Into the Night from that 87 Frehley's Comet. You know, and that's one of my favorite Ace Frehley solo songs. And there it is. Russ penned it. So it's nuggets like that make our interviews, especially Metal Waltz interviews, you can't find it anywhere else. And it's a real good one. But as always, before we dive into that, we want to invite you up to metalmayhemroc.com. Sign up for our newsletter to stay in the loop on new podcast episodes, YouTube interviews, and in the fall, our weekly live radio show returns. While you're there, visit the merch page, check all that merch stuff out. It's really some good stuff. And don't forget to check out our recent episodes. Last week, Dennis Dunaway of the new original Alice Cooper album, Revenge of Alice. 2 weeks ago, our emotional tribute to Ozzy. And before that, we had Volbeat's John Larson talking the new music, album, and tour. All right, well, let's get into this. Legendary songwriter Russ Ballard, sharing the stories behind some of the most iconic tracks in rock history. For my co-host, Metal Walt, I'm the Vernomatic, and we are Metal Mayhem ROC.
Russ, how are you today?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, good to be with you.
Congratulations on the new album, but I was thinking of kind of something fun to open up the discussion. So, of course, you are hands down simply one of the most gifted songwriters in rock and pop history. So what do you think would happen if you, Desmond Child, and Diane Warren formed a songwriter supergroup and were given a project to work on? What would go down?
I'd want a bigger percentage.
You get the bigger percentage, right?
Yeah, I want the bigger percent. Now, that would be fascinating, wouldn't it? There might be some arguments, maybe. Do you think we wouldn't get them together?
I don't know. That's what I was thinking of super groups, right? You could put all these super groupy musicians together, but I'm like, how about the super group of songwriters, right?
Yeah, that would be fascinating. Yeah.
What do you think, though? Maybe we get a reality show in the UK, and maybe somebody like the Stones or U2 comes to you guys and says, "Make an album for us," right?
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, if that's what they want, they've got it. Yeah.
Okay. Now, all kidding aside. So, hey, Russ, your breakout came during a time with Argent in the early 70s. FM radio staples like Hold Your Head Up and God Gave Rock and Roll to You. Listen, they put you on the map. But I've always been curious to know, why did you decide to leave the band at the height of their commercial success?
Well, it's one of those strange things that at that time, my wife was pregnant, and then she had, and I was finding it difficult to go on the road. I'd been on the road then as a professional guitar player, actually for 9 years when Hold Your Head Up came out. So it was very difficult. I wanted to be with the family, when the baby was born and stuff. And, you get a tour booked for 3 months or whatever, you don't see the family, and you got a child that's growing, and and you don't see the child and all that. I wanted to be there to see the little changes and stuff. I mean, I was writing a lot, so I thought maybe it was safe to leave the band, because I was getting a few covers and things. So and I was getting some good publishing deals. So I left, but I always missed being on the road, and we stayed together as friends, Argent, the guys in Argent, Bob Henrik, Jim Rodford, Rod and myself, we still stay friends.
Again, you left there and, you moved into basically a solo career, right? Yeah. But, you've also stated that maybe after your Argent years, you kind of preferred working behind the scenes. Yes, despite maybe you missing the camaraderie on the road.
Yeah.
But it looks like your career took a turn and you became a writing and producing over touring became your focus.
Yeah.
So was that a conscious choice to sort of forego fame and stay out of the spotlight?
No, I took it as it come to be honest. I had the family, I had a girl as well. And as soon as came off the road, but I made an album pretty quickly. Then I made another album called Winning, and I came to the States actually and toured with my own band. I came, I knew, everything was good at home, and I got some friends together and we toured. We did 5 days at the Bottom Line up your way.
Yeah,
and
of course.
And we went to LA and we did 5 days at the Roxy, and we did a few others. We did some days at San Francisco, a couple of dates in San Francisco. It only lasted about 3 weeks, and that was the only tour. That's the only tour I did in the States after I left Argent, So, but I intended going back on the road. I wanted to do that, but I thought I could keep making albums and I could keep producing and all that. But I tell you, I got into watching the kids grow, and we became very tight as a family, And my daughter lives next door to me now. My son's just he has his studio in my house.
Wow.
He has his studio. I have my studio outside. But we're all very, very close together here, which is beautiful.
So how are your children are obviously your adult children now? So are your kids in the industry as well?
Yeah, but my son is. My son's in, is a producer, engineer. He produced this out. Engineered this album. Yeah, for me. I wrote all the songs. Certainly the hits I wrote myself, and we've written tunes together. We had a couple of hits together over here with a couple of bands. But he's a great. It's a great engineer, a great mixer. And he keeps me up to date on how to make records these days, which is good.
That's great. It's a father and son tandem. I love that.
Yeah.
So
I
think that's very cool.
Yeah, he knows all the latest plugins and everything like that. So he keeps me up to date on them, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just, let's say, the equipment, the hard equipment, the technology, but as you know, how to market yourself in the 21st century with social media and TikTok and Instagram and all those good things. That's what the next generation brings. I mean, my kids are younger. I have teenagers, but they always look at me and say, "Hey, Dad, you got to get going with this stuff. Like you're a dinosaur in your own way."
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know. Yeah. It's a funny thing about, the great thing about music, though, even though, it is a different kind of situation now. I'm involved with a couple of bands over here, and they're all younger. They, I meet them and they say, oh, maybe we could do things together, do some stuff together. There's a band called Space Elevator I'm working with at the moment. I've done a few tracks with them. And, they're 20 odd years younger than me. And there's no generation gap. That's the strange thing about music. You're talking about the same thing, all the conversations about the same stuff. You go for dinner, and the conversation, there isn't any generation gap. And I think had I been in another occupation, there might have been a generation gap. There usually is. But when you've got a passion that you can talk through with a friend. I've got another band from Liverpool. Actually, I've written some songs with them, and they're called Fugitive. And they've become great friends. I've made some great friends, younger friends. And it's like, there's no generation gap, man. I love that.
So that's good to hear. I know on David Gilmour's latest Luck and Strange album that he put out, again, he was introduced to a whole new set of younger musicians. His daughter plays on the album, and he went out and took this band on the road. I saw him at Madison Square Garden in New York. And, these kids could be his kids or maybe even grandkids, but it said it inspired him and got him a rebirth of things.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, I know that's how it is. My granddaughter is dancing and singing, and she's an amazing dancer and singer. She's winning trophies and everything everywhere. Yeah. Her name is Elodie. She's amazing.
Okay.
And I'm very proud of her as well. She's just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I appreciate you sharing that. So,
Yeah.
Russ, like most people know you as the hitmaker of sorts, but like maybe what gets buried there is you have released 10 solo albums. This becomes your 11th. So, which brings us to, let's say, part one of your new project, Songs from the Warehouse. So, you kind of refer to the new album as your lockdown tapes. It was a pandemic project like so many others. 13 songs. I mean, it's a fascinating album. I love it. There's so many different styles of music there. But in a general sense, when you set out to make new songs, is there a philosophy or an idea that sort of guides you when you get going?
No, I've always kept basically the same premise, Lance, to be honest. For me, it's always looking, for the sake, I look for something that pleases me, always look, and that's how I've always done it. I've never really written for anyone, only America. I wrote for America and wrote for a little band called Hello. That's a song I manufactured for them called New York Groove that Ace Frehley did.
You know that one well.
Yeah,
we know that one well.
Yeah. All the other tunes that I always write for myself, it just so happens that people record them. Sometimes, they get to them before I finished, I think. But I just love finding an idea. It can sometimes be the smallest of ideas, just a song title, and a title sort of lets you know what kind of feel it should be, whether it should be up tempo, whether it should be moody, that sort of thing. I wrote Liar years ago. My first hit in America was the Three Dog Night, and that was Liar. That was a long time ago. That was 1971, and I wrote that just as a blues song. That was never meant to be. I thought it was just a blues song I was writing. But I must have sort of kept it commercial because they released that as a single. For me, it was always a blues. But it did have the element of surprise, which I think is always good in a song. That, Ain't that what you said? Ain't that what you said? Ain't that what you said? Liar, liar. Yeah, that idea.
Exactly.
But I still work in the same way. On this new album, I've got a song called Courageous that came from it came from an idea that I saw on BBC News. And I saw it a few years ago, actually. It might have been in lockdown or even before the lockdown, about a girl that 12 years old, siblings, a sister of 8 or 9, and a brother of about 6. And the mother, who's in a wheelchair because she has multiple sclerosis, and she's looking after the family. And they showed this thing, and she's a carer, and she's bathing the mother. She's getting the kids ready for school, getting them breakfast, getting the mother breakfast, and dressing them and all that. You see that walking to school, holding the kids' hands. It was such a moving story. It was at the end of a news bulletin. It made me really, really emotional. And I thought I might write a song about this. And that's Courageous. We're a courageous girl living in a mad world.
It's an inspirational storyline, yet it's kind of has a dance beat to it. There's a dance beat to it versus like, I love right straight through tracks 1 through 5. I love them because they're all different, yet they're all catchy. They're all melodic.
Yeah.
I mean, Journey, man, it's got like sort of this bluesy swagger with this pace to it. And then The One Who Breathes Me is kind of dark and moody, yet it's got a cool rhythm. So there's a lot of contrast on your songs.
Yeah. I've always written different kinds of songs. Sometimes it's just how I've listened to so many. I listen to everything that's going on. And sometimes I thought to myself, I'd like to try something like this. I'd like to try something like that. I've tried it all at some stage, Lance. I've tried these ideas before. Journeyman is about just it's the story of the human being. It's the story of life. Basically, this is my story. I'm a journeyman, just like you. I'm a journeyman, and singing about that and singing about spiritual things. I enjoy that too. The spiritual ideas. Sort of. I always think now. I think they're good for. Spiritual ideas are good lyrically and good musically for rock music, for adult rock music. I think the actual thing. I've written one on there about the problems in the church, actually, that we've been through, probably worldwide. The problems with abuse and things in the church. So I wrote that. That's called The Last Amen. I wrote another
beautiful song. Beautiful song, by the way.
Thank you. That was the idea of it, being in the church and, being around all that and singing. Obviously, I wasn't, but I could imagine what it was like being there, being unable to really get out of it, So I wrote that. And there's another one, The Family Way. The idea, it was a big, big thing years ago, going back to the 40s and 50s. And it's come up again recently about women having babies at that time out of wedlock. And they were sent off to Australia. Babies were taken away by nuns, and they were sent away to Australia or given away to people that wanted babies. And they never saw them again, and the women who are now in their 70s and 80s were talking about it on TV. So I wrote about that as well, the family way. It's all in the family way, that kind of thing. And they're interesting things. As you get older, it's more difficult to write about, I love you, I don't love you, please come back to me, because it doesn't happen to me that much these days. Although I could put my head into that space, I could do it. I know I could do it. And I do sometimes.
There's a lot of contrast in your lyrical themes there, but also, like I said, in the music itself. Like one of my favorite tracks on the album is The Wild. I don't know, I just keep going back to that one. It's just got something that's uplifting and catchy and groovy.
and about a northern girl coming down to the south in the lights of the city. It's an idea that's been used in rock before, but I've used it before in the song actually, but it was kind of retro. It's kind of I thought it as I wanted to do like a retro kind of song about it, but she was a northern girl looking for the bright lights, had to get to the city, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but I think it's pretty good. I wish I'd have pulled up the guitars on that one a little bit, made it more sort of earthy, but yeah, that's had a good reception, that one.
It is a good one. And I must say, like, you're up in your career. You've been doing this for 40, 50 years, but you're singing your ass off, Russ. I mean, you sound great. Songs like Resurrection and Sleepwalking. I mean, what great vocal deliveries in these songs. Good choruses.
That's right. Yeah, but I've always searched for the chorus and stuff like that. It's like, don't bore people. Try to, give them something. I hear a lot of songs where you can't hear. You think this is really cool. This is really good. And then you realize that when it's finished, you think, what was that called? Because I didn't get the chorus. I didn't get the title. And I sometimes writers throw the titles away, throw the choruses away with, hiding the titles sometimes, but yeah, I mean, it's helped me. I had to learn not so much the art, but the craft of writing in my career.
Metal Mayhem ROC.
So I'm with the one and only Russ Ballard, and we're discussing his brand new double album. The Hits Rewired, Russ, is a collection of brand new recordings of the famous hits either penned by you or performed by you during the years. So in 1976, you released the solo album Winning, right? And that title track, and Since You've Been Gone, were on that album.
Yeah.
And of course, these songs ended up being really big hits later on for Santana and Rainbow. So, maybe my first question is, when you first wrote these songs, did you sort of envision them being popularized by somebody else, or was this just pure coincidence that it happened that way?
No, I wrote them for an album, my own album, when I had a deal with CBS at the time. And I wrote them as part of the album. I think Winning, I wrote as the first tune on the album. And that was basically the story of my life. Basically, that was it, the story of winning. I was suffering and, I was a loser, but now I'm winning kind of thing. That was the idea of it. And each verse is another sort of length of time in my life. And with, that was recorded by Santana 4 years later. I did mine in 75. That was 4 years later. And Since You've Been Gone was the follow-up single. And by me, that was in 75 as well. So, you got a few plays and stuff, and people got some good reviews, but that was it. And then Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow came out with it, and it was a big hit. But it was already a hit in the States by Head East. It was already out there as a top 40 hit. And apparently they supported Rainbow on a tour, and that's where Ritchie heard it. And Roger.
So is that, because that's what I was going to say, that like, what is the actual process? Like, you write a song like that. Okay, so now it makes sense. It's recorded, Head East recorded it, Ritchie heard it. So it was Ritchie's decision to say, hey, I love that song. But what's the process there? Do they have to get that approved through the record label, or is it just, hey, I'm going to cover this song?
Well, I think because I'd done it first, I think you basically, all you have to do is ask permission to release it. I think that's how the sequence goes. And if there's no change to the lyrics or any big changes, I think anyone's allowed to record them, They only have to ask permission if they've made changes to the song, to the lyrics, or whatever. If they've made big changes. That's how it happens.
But for you, though, Russ, I mean, okay, Winning and Since You've Been Gone, those were maybe the first two that really launched. But then you start getting a reputation, right? I mean, then it's like, oh, this is a Russ Ballard song. I mean, even Winning, I mean, I'm 54 years old. I remember that song as a kid on like the radio, but I always categorize Santana as this Latino jam band, you know, Carlos Santana up there. And Winning was like a complete departure from that sound. I mean, you hear it today on like the yacht rock stations.
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah. You know, I think it's really good for them now because they're in Vegas. They're in Vegas for a season, actually. So it's Winning is the perfect song to, you know, and obviously they recorded it, had a big hit with that, you know. But I did have a hit first before those two. I had a hit that was on the first Argent album, which was Liar.
Mm-hmm.
I think I mentioned it to you, actually. So I was getting a bit of a reputation then because people I had a couple of songs, you know, at that time that people were talking about in England and stuff. So, yeah, so the word grew, which was handy for me, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And sticking, let's say, with the Richie Blackmore camp, I was doing my research and maybe you could set the record straight. So is it actually a fact that when Richie was considering leaving Deep Purple, you were one of the guitarists that tried out for the band?
No, that's not true. No, that's not true. But it would have been interesting, you know. I've met a few of those guys and know them, you know, and stuff. Although I wasn't a friend of Rich's, to be honest, but I saw him about 6 years ago at the O2, and he asked me to go out there and up to London and come on and be a guest, which is what I did, and it was great. I was received very well. I thought it was very nice, you know. And he did say a very nice thing. We were chatting at the sound check, and we're having a really good chat together. And then they changed, and an hour or so later, or 2 hours later, I was still there, you know, and we were chatting as he was waiting to go on the stage. And he said, I don't do these gigs, these big gigs. So I think there were about 14,000 there. He said, I don't do these gigs so often anymore. He said, you know, and there was a guy standing with us, and he said to this guy, he said, you have to do this, you know, really, if you want to earn kind of big money, we have to go to do these big gigs. He said, you know, or you have to go out do these big gigs, or you find a song from this guy. And that was very nice. You know, I was also talking about then the medieval thing that he does, you know, which are much, much smaller, you know, and you wonder what sort of money they could make there. But he said, you know, he was talking, when he said that to me, I said, you want another song, Richie? He went, like that, you know. I said, rock or medieval? He said, medieval. That was that.
It's his Blackmore's Night project, which that's really all he does now. He actually just came through this way in New Jersey and New York about 2 weeks ago.
What sort of places does he play there?
They're small theaters, like maybe 800 to 1,000 seats.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
you know,
that's nice.
I did see the show about 10 years ago. It's good, but you have to have an appreciation for that kind of music, and which again, it's cool, but you got to put yourself in the mindset that yes, Richie's up there playing, but he might not get his Fender Stratocaster out till maybe later in the show and jam out a little bit. But you know, that's what he likes to do with his wife, and hey, all the power to him, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, he's done so much in his life. You know, do you want to do that all your life, or do you want to, you know, make some changes? Yeah.
Because, you know, Russ, you also, I mean, another song that was yours was I Surrender, which again, these were, Since You've Been Gone and I Surrender, these were songs that Richie was looking to, let's say, commercialize the band, especially in the States. Yeah. Right? And that was yet another song. Joel Turner came. Joel Turner's a fellow New Jersey guy like me. And that was another one that put him on that map to commercial success. And then you've also continued sort of your long-standing relationship with Graham Bunn. And I was kind of looking through your library of songs, and songs like SOS, Mirror Lies, Living in Suspicion. Yeah.
'Cause
You know, so what's your working relationship like with Graham these days?
It's a relationship by phone. Actually,
Okay.
I did go to see him. I went to see him about 8 years ago when he was in London, and it's the first time I've seen him actually do a live gig, to be honest. But he was very nice. He's a good guy, you know. I actually went to some of his recordings when he made his first album, and from then on we hit it off, you know. And he gets in touch with me. Have we got any songs? And I did say to him, "What kind of thing are you looking for?" He said, "Oh, something progressive, something like Queen, something like that." You know, I said, "I've tried to write you something in 3 parts," you know, which I did do, and it could have been a better demo actually. But I think the song I gave him was quite good. It was called my. I can't remember the name of the song actually, but it was very Queen-like, you know. Well, it's very much like Argent would have done years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Graham Bonnet's actually playing a show by me in 2 weeks, and we have a sort of a friendly business relationship with him and his wife Beth.
Yeah.
So if
yeah.
we get a chance to see them, I'm
Give
going
them my love.
to make sure.
Give
Absolutely.
them my love and tell them, you know, ask them if they want another song. I've got plenty.
Absolutely. Metal Mayhem ROC can be the conduit for
Metal
new
Mayhem.
music between, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So, Now, Russ, speaking of Argent, I mean, God Gave Rock and Roll to You was what's unique about this one. It was a hit twice, right? It was a hit with Argent, and then Kiss takes the song, I don't know, 30 years later, and it's kind of become sort of this anthem across generations. So what does that song mean to you personally, like kind of the message behind it?
Yeah, it's pretty special, you know. I think it's, you know, when you're doing it, you're just writing another song and you're writing lyrics. You have a tune and you're writing lyrics to the tune. You're finding chords and you're finding lyrics as you're finding chords and things. I usually do this stuff on the piano. And when you don't really analyze it, you put it out there, you know, and now I can analyze it more than I could all those years ago, you know, when I was with Argent. It's probably everything I am, I think. You know, when I analyze it now, my mother, I wasn't particularly religious, and I'm not particularly sort of religious now, because I did look up religious, the actual, the word, what it meant, and it says in one of the dictionaries, it said a particular system of religion, which I never followed anything like that, but mother did. My mother was sort of she could have been in the Bible, actually. She was, or she could have been burned at the stake 300 years ago, I think, my mother. She was amazing, you know. And she used to say things like, you know, oh, God gave him that. Oh, God gave her that. You know, that's God given. That's God given. She used to say it a lot, you know, and I think that's one of the things that stayed in my mind. I sit at the piano and start thinking about, you know, things that people say. And I thought, this is a great title for a song. God Gave Rock and Roll to You. You know, it's a bit of a statement, you know. But it allowed me, I wrote different lyrics to the first verse. I wrote the 3 verses to the song. You could say 4 verses. And Kiss changed the first verse, and they made it more rock and roll. You know, they were talking about guitars, getting on the stage, doing the thing and all that, which is probably definitely more rock and roll than what I was saying. Because it had God in the title and stuff, I wanted to make it more kind of spiritual. So I started off with, love your friend and love your neighbor, love your life and love your labor. It's never too late to change your mind. Don't step on snails, don't climb in trees. Love Cliff Richard, but please. That was meant to be a gag. Please don't tease. Cliff Richard had recorded a song called Please Don't Tease. So that was meant to be a gag. Love Cliff Richard, but please don't tease. And that was just something for the, you know, the kids would have known that song many years before I wrote that song. And the rest of the verses are the same as Kiss sang, and they say, you know, it was the same version, and they got the tempo absolutely spot on, you know. For me, the tempo was really, really good. I thought Argent's was a little bit slow, but they took it they wanted it that slow, or you know, the other guys. But yeah, it's fun anyway, writing songs, you know. And it's fun watching a song. it's fun watching a song take on its own life after, Yeah.
Well, let's talk about
life.
that. I mean, how about New York Groove? I mean, we talked a little bit about it yesterday, but I mean, Ace Frehley, let's be honest, right? Ace Frehley, when that album was released, the 1978 Kiss solo albums, I mean, I was a little boy, but I remember the news behind that. It was like, what? It's not one, it's
Wow.
4 albums all in the same day. Holy crap. I mean, and that became an anthem in and of itself. It's synonymous with Ace Frehley. I mean, you hear it at sporting events. I went to a New York Yankees baseball game about a week ago, and they won the game. And at the end of the game, they play 2 songs. They play Frank Sinatra's New York, and then they play, New York Groove.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you get those 2 songs together. I mean, maybe the first question about this song is when you wrote it, what inspired, like what was going on in your life in 75 or 76, whenever you wrote it, that you said, some experience in New York City said, I want to write a song about city.
You see, before that, this was 1975, and obviously 2 years before that, we were there a lot. We played the Academy of Music three times. We played that 3 or 4 times, and we played other places in New York and stuff. And we used to go to Max's Kansas City and all those things we used to do after the show and whatever. We used to do all that stuff. And then I came out of the band, and I was sitting at home most of the time writing songs, writing tunes. But my brother used to play in a function band. And I often used to play with him, either on the drums or play the guitar. But he used to play, and he used to do things like start spreading the news. I used to play all this stuff, which is fun to play. But he said, there was a band on with us, Russ. He said, they're amazing. They're only 16 years old. They're little boys, little guys, but they're amazing. They're all small, like the Small Faces, actually. They're small. And he said, you want to get involved with them, get involved with the writing a song, producing them. So I got their address. I went to see them, and they were up for this. And we already had Hold Your Head Up out at this time. And I walked into their house. They were all set up in the drummer's house. And all the mums and dads were there. And I walked in, and they played Hold Your Head Up as I walked in, so it was brilliant. But I thought they were really, really good. In 75, at that time, I just produced an album for Roger Daltrey, which was Ride a Rock Horse. And we listened to the cut of the album, and we did a cut in London, which sounded okay, but Roger said, everyone's talking about Sterling Sound in New York. And a guy called Bill Ludwig at Sterling Sound apparently gets really loud cuts. I said to him, shall I go to New York and see if I booked time? I booked in time there. And, when I was on the plane, as you do, waiting, and I always have a notebook with me and a pen. And I thought to myself, I'm going back to New York, back in the New York Groove. And that's the title. And I just wrote New York Groove. And straight in my head, I thought, Bo Diddley, gotcha. Don't ask me where it came from, but I had that. All I had was that. Anyway, got them in the studio on downtime. It was in the evening. They were all set up, mic'd up, everything ready to go. Had no song. All I had was a title, a key, E, and a Super Vanda harp. And their version had a harp, which I played. And I said to the guys, okay, play this, dutch, E, dutch. They'd already stamped this in. Played to it, They stamped on the trestle table. And I said, E, 20 years since I was here. I wrote it down. E, on the street, I'm just passing. B, time and way. A, to the land. That's how it was written. It was, obviously, it wasn't that quick, but it wasn't much longer, actually, to write the thing and to compose the thing. Well, we got to the, on the street, I'm just passing. To the left and to the right. The town of stone grows to the sky, and it's out of sight. In a fading light. And I thought, where do I go from here? It's got to have a pre-chorus. And I went, the first rap, I meant, here I am again in the city. Dun, 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 dun. And that happened just like that. I thought about the movie, Fistful of Dollars. With a fistful of dollars, and baby, you better be back. I'm back. We did this, so, and it, like, I guess to write it, to put it down, to finish it, took 2 hours.
Look at it almost 50 years later, what that song still stands for. Russ, that's awesome stories. But I'm always curious, have you ever had a chance to talk to Ace Frehley about this? Maybe, I always think, Kiss and Gene and Paul in that camp, they're always fighting each other. They're always bickering over money. I'm sure that must have burned Gene Simmons up, knowing that Ace Frehley's solo album was more successful than his. And that was pretty much because of your song.
I did wonder that myself, actually, strangely enough. I was wondering, when those 4 albums came out, I was wondering about that, because it's not good. That's not good. That's not good to have one bigger than the other. Anyway, it goes to show there's no payola there. Otherwise, they'd all been in the charts together, wouldn't they? I've never spoken to the guys. Oh, can you believe that?
Wow.
Even though we did a couple of shows together. And I think probably their first show in New York, maybe not, because we were on it. And I didn't know they were wearing makeup or whatever. All I saw at the sound check was this logo at the back of the, at the back of the auditorium with Kiss on it, it's going on and off. And like these sort of, the drum rostrum sort of moving around. And I thought, this is going to be interesting. But they looked just like normal guys at the sound check. In the evening, they came down and they stood like 7 feet tall, and it looked so effective. I thought they were good. I thought they were really, really cool.
Well, you gotta, before time goes on, you gotta make sure you speak to Ace about that someday. Well, that would be cool to do, but it's amazing that relationship exists.
I know somebody did mention to me that he did mention us actually in his autobiography or biography. And it was very nice. He mentioned that he remembered our gig because we did a version of Aquarius, the song Aquarius.
Okay.
When the moon is in the 7th house, and we went ga 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 ga, da 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 da. We did it like that, a bit like Vanilla Fudge, that kind of thing. But it was fun. It's fun. Being in, if it's not fun, you shouldn't be doing it. So it was great.
Yeah.
But I'd like to meet the guy, sit down and have dinner with him one day,
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, he also took your song Into the Night. That was a hit for him per se when he came out with Frehley's Comet. That was like his return as a solo artist in the late 80s. And that was an empty, let's be honest, that was an empty video. You also work with Peter Criss on his 1982 solo album, Let Me Rock You, and Some Kind of Hurricane. So there's all kinds of relations with you and Kiss.
Yeah. I know. I have the same spirit. I don't have any makeup. I don't have the same makeup or whatever, and I love them. I love the whole spirit of that thing, and they deserve everything they have, to be honest.
Yeah. So touching on Roger Daltrey again. So Russ, this is a kind of a cool little thing. When I was preparing for our discussion, I was thinking back and I'm listening to your new album and I'm going, Free Me? Is that song Free Me? And I went back to when I was 10 years old in 1980 and MTV first hit the TV. And that was one of the first videos that was constantly on airplay. I could remember it, 40 something years ago. And then to look and go, oh my effing God, Russ wrote that song too. But, you've done a lot of work with Roger. One of my favorite albums of his that I think I got into Roger Daltrey before The Who was the Under the Raging Moon album from 85. There was like, Breaking Down Paradise you wrote, but maybe in a general sense, how does it make you feel hearing this legendary singer interpret your work?
Well, I got used to it now because we worked a lot together. You know, he recorded 8 of my songs, but I toured with him. I toured with him in 85. For Raging Moon, he phoned me and said, "Russ, I'm thinking about doing a solo, doing a tour." He said, "Will you come with me?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, if you don't do it, I ain't going to do it," which I thought was really nice. You know, that's what he said to me at the time. Anyway, I had a good band, and we rehearsed a few times, and then we went, played all over it's only the east, actually, the east side of the, I remember going to Pennsylvania. We played all around that area, I think Boston or whatever. And then we ended up in the Gardens, actually, just for a solo gig, and I think it was sold out. But he said, "Do your own songs as well." So I was doing my own songs. I did a couple of songs, and he said, "It helps me out, But we did that song. We did that to free me. And I watched him every night. He said, "This is a killer. This is a killer." He used to say, "This is a killer trying to do this." And I used to watch him get this lung full of air and scream, "This free me," And it was brilliant. But we've been very good friends. And then I was with him for 12 years in the Teenage Cancer. I was with him in that band. So that's been a long relationship. But I love him and his family, Heather. And we did Leo Sayer's album at his house, all those years ago. That first Leo Sayer album, 1973. Bob Henrik was on it as well. We did that at Roger's house. And then we did Roger's album, first album there as well. So it's been a nice relationship.
Have you been keeping up on the drama with The Who, with Zach Starkey, who was thrown out and then back in and all that other stuff?
That sounds like that. I said to Roger, I remember saying to Roger when he got, he first got in there, he got in, who was the drummer had just before that? The drummer playing for The Who just before.
Kenny Jones?
After Kenny. He went into Toto. It's my friend. He played on Voices, actually. I'm trying to think of his name.
Okay.
I was Simon Phillip.
Yes.
It was Simon. When I heard that Simon was in the band, I said to Roger, he'd done quite a few gigs then with Zach. And I said to Roger, I didn't know what the relationship was like. I said, do you miss, do you miss him? And he said, "No, Zach's the drummer for us." I thought, you must miss Simon because he's so amazing, But when I hear Zach is spot on for The Who, I think is a dead right drummer for them.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad they kissed and made up, so say.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I did work with Zach. I did work with Zach's dad for about a month.
Oh, yeah? What was that like?
Which was lovely. And it was great. It was great. Yeah, I was in the club one night with a few people. I walked into the club about midnight, and Ringo was in there with a few people. I didn't see him, actually. I didn't see him in there, but it was Lulu in front of me. I don't know if you remember Lulu, the singer Lulu. She was in front of me. I'd just been to her brother's wedding. And I heard this voice say, Russ. And I turned around, and she said, "Hello, Richie," over to him. And he looked at me and said, got any songs, And I said, I'm going to sit down with him. I said, "What are you looking for?" He said, "Hits." And then we became really, really big friends for about 6 weeks, on and off. My dad was ill, so he was spending only 90 days in the country in England, and he was coming in and going out, and he phoned me and said, what she's doing tonight, So what she's doing tonight? I said, I'm going to see my dad, and he said, "When you coming to London?" So I go into London to the Hilton, and we'd sit there for hours just talking about stuff. And, a lovely thing he said to me after he sort of got to know me, but we'd known them since 1963. on and off, but I never knew him well, but he said to me, Russ, I get great vibes from you, he said to me, which was lovely. It meant a lot to me because they did a lot for me, actually. Just they did a lot for the world. They did a lot for the country. At that time, I happened to be in the swinging London scene. I was professional and working then, and we did a few gigs together, like we played at Wembley together, as sort of a lot of bands. That was the Stones, the Beatles, that was us, and there was Dave Clark Fired, all together in one show. It used to be amazing. There was real swing in London then.
Yeah. Wow.
It was
good
amazing.
Stuff, Russ.
It was amazing.
You mentioned voices before because number one, the version of the song on your new album is awesome. It's almost like, I get like excited. It's like a little bit of a dancey track, but we're a hard rock heavy metal show, but what people also have to realize about Russ Ballard is you crossed outside of the rock genre as well. You got into pop. I like to call it yacht rock, but you think of a song like Voices, right? And that one was, let's say, played on the Miami Vice TV show. And then there's a song like America's You Can Do Magic. I mean, again, Russ, that song's a monster in and of itself. It's its own entity. I mean, just talk about the impact of like some of these songs that have had on your career and the other bands.
Yeah. Are you talking about Voices? You're talking about Magic. You Can Do Magic.
Well, I'd say both.
Yeah.
Talk about Voices first.
Yeah, Voices. Again, that was sort of, as I've said to you before, Lance, you're looking for different ideas. And I don't know where that came from, but the idea of singing, about voices is what it's. I had a rough time years ago, and I mean, I was, just exhausted, mentally exhausted. And as singers or musicians are on the road, they become exhausted. And, when they cancel shows, it's usually not because he's gone mad. It's usually because mental exhaustion, I think they call it, or emotional exhaustion, they usually call it. That's the thing. And I came off the road, never cancelled a gig. I came off the road. When I was off the road, I was on pills and things to get through this thing. And I wasn't so much hearing voices, but I was thinking about that whole thing of ideas for songs. And I must have thought, I hear voices. But I thought, yeah, well, the fact is, it's just a great idea for a song. And so it became very introspective. And I loved it because it was so introspective and like nothing else I'd ever written. Because it was, if you could see my mind, if you really look deep, maybe you'll find somewhere there will be a place hidden behind my comedian face. You will find somewhere there's a house, and inside that house there's a room. Locked in the room in the corner, you see a voice is waiting for me to set it free. And I got the key. Voices, I hear voices. But then I wanted to say, basically, don't look back, look straight ahead and say to everybody, don't look back, don't think about yesterday or whatever. Look straight ahead. And, and I kept putting that in, that idea. But it was, I think, too introspective to become a radio hit. I think it was just, it was too introspective. Bryan Adams phoned me. I never met Bryan Adams. And he phoned me. It was really, really nice. About 10 o'clock at night. And the lady that was working for me at the time, she said, I was just getting into bed. She knocked on the door and said, there's somebody called Bryan Adams on the phone, wants to speak to you. She didn't know who he was. Never heard of him, And I said, yeah. She said, I'll tell him he's phoning back tomorrow. I said, no, I'll speak to him now, We had a great chat. And he said, Russ, I just love that song, Voices. He said, it's so introspective. I said, yeah. And I said, do you want to meet? He said, oh, it'd be great to meet, And I said, have you seen around Abbey Road? He was staying at Montcalm Hotel, that's just around the corner from Abbey Road. So he said, no, I've never seen Abbey Road. So I drove up, they picked him up, took him to Abbey Road, and we spent about 4 hours there just talking about, he's talking about his album. He was really excited about his album because he had done this one song on his album, and it was the duet with Tina Turner. Mm-hmm. And that was Remind Me Love. It's only love. I think it was on it. It's only love. That was the song. And they were so excited. I could tell because he knew. He said, my album's just been released. I said, oh, that's brilliant. You've got another album out. He said, yeah. And it's shipped. I don't know, something like 2 million or something. It shipped, He was so excited. And I could tell he was excited. And it was nice. I enjoyed his company. But he wanted me to write something for Tina. This is why we got together, really. He said, would you write something for Tina? And I said, what do you want to write together? He went, no, I'm going on the road. He said, but I want you to write something, like Voices, something introspective or something like that. And I'm going on the road. He said, I'd like to produce it. So that was that. But I did send a song and I never heard any more, actually. But
Okay.
that,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. But what about You Can Do Magic? Because number one, your version of the new album was great. I mean, I love the song already, but it's a great version. Tell us about that one.
Well, it happened. The song actually happened from their A&R manager at the record company in LA in 1980. He got in touch with me and asked me if I would write something. Can you write a couple of tunes for America? And I said straight away, yes. And there's only 2 songs I've written for anyone else. All the others were written for me, but You Could Do Magic was written for them. And I had studied every tune, every single they'd ever released. I listened to the music and the feel of it. And I thought if they could go back, if you ask people, do you know America, the band America? Yeah, they say, yeah. What song do you remember? And they'd all say, da 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 da. Went for the desert on the horse. Da 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 da. It's very hypnotic. And I thought, if I could forget about the others, if I could just tap into that, and them singing something hypnotic, the public would love it. And they did, funnily enough. And I put everything down at Abbey Road. I put a Linn drum down first of all. Just a Linn drum, a computer. Put down the keyboard, a Rhodes keyboard, then a bass. Then guitar, strumming guitars, stereo guitars. Then effects guitars, all the stuff going behind them. Brought the boys in. And that was it. I did 2 songs with them at the time, actually.
What was the other one?
Yeah, well, it was Jody, even the wind says your name, girl. Then I say that, don't you know, Jody, da 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 da. I can't remember. So, in the days when we're living together, oh, should last forever, Jody. I'm cracked. I'm begging now. It's very much a ballad,
Yeah.
I couldn't remember what words. It was years ago.
Russ, I'm always curious. Again, you've got so many of your songs out there in the stratosphere. How does the royalty payment process work? I mean, is it literally just like checks coming in? Do you have like 17 bank accounts and a massive mailbox and you're just literally going out to the post office? You got a stack of mail and you just signing check after check?
I don't have so many bank accounts. I'm 63.
Well, there you go.
The kind of phrase from Liberace. You know that bank I ran to? Well, I bought it. That's one of Liberace's. I thought that was great. It used to be really, really, they used to call it the real estate of the music industry years ago, Lance. And, it was the real estate of the music industry. You'd make more from writing the song than you'd have to go on the road for a year to actually earn the money you get from a hit record. And then it goes on forever. The streaming thing changed everything. when because going back to the 70s, early 70s, 60s, whatever, you in England it's not a big island. It's a small country, and you've got Wales, you've got Northern Ireland, and you have Scotland. And, and when people phone you, publishers phone you and say, Russ, the song sold 73,000 today. And you go, wow, where's that taken? That should go up to number 15 this week, I think, and they phone the next day. They say, it's done 50 today. It's done 25. It's done 60. And this will go on for 3 weeks, and every time it got a play, like Top of the Pops, which was just one TV, had like 18 million, but it doesn't sound a lot to America, but we had 18 million viewers watching Top of the Pops. And that would be, you'd get £200 for one play. So it was big money, and you got to remember, you had multiple thousands and thousands of plays, but you never always got 200. I think in the States you get sort of 2 cents a play or something like, or a cent a play. I don't know what it is now, but you think you get money from music. Your music played in a restaurant, in a hotel, in elevators, dentists, into all these places. It's they have to pay because they have to pay a license fee to PRS, or in America, yes, Association of Composers and Publishers, ASCAP, or BMI. They collect and send it over to Britain, and we collect by Performing Rights Society. We send it over to America. So it's still good, it's still good. And the songs that are known, because my songs that are known still getting played somewhere on oldies radio. But it's still good money, it's still good money. So I can't complain. I still do it if I didn't get paid. I do. And I don't get paid. But
that's the dedication. That's the dedication to your craft, Russ. So, Russ, this has been an awesome discussion. Before we end the show, I want to go a little deep now, and because we're a hard rock show, there were 4 songs. I was geeking out with my friend, and we're looking at like your list, and we found 4 lesser known, let's say, deep tracks that you wrote that were recorded by other hard rock artists. So you had "Riding with the Angels" that was recorded by Sampson, who. That Bruce Dickinson of Iron. Yes. Sampson, Bruce Dickinson. "I Did It for Love" by Night Ranger. And then you had "So This Is Eden" with Bad English. And then "On the Rebound" from Uriah Heep. So maybe in a general sense, was there any one let's say, song of yours that you feel didn't get the recognition it didn't deserve? Maybe something from the list I just mentioned that should have been bigger?
Yeah, I think, Night Ranger. I love Jack Blades from Night Ranger. He came and stayed with us for a week with his wife Molly, and I'm glad we're back in touch, which is great. And he was dynamite as a man to be around. It was great. My demo was really good of that song. "I Did It for Love." I thought it was really good. It was produced in the end. It wasn't produced by Keith Olsen, but I think it was produced around the same studio. And it was a hit. It was a hit. It was a small hit, but I think my demo was warmer. I think it was warmer, but they obviously did it in their way. But yeah, they're highly respected, and I love Jack and Molly. As far as "Riding with the Angels" goes, I always thought that was strong, but because it was hard. I was being a punk then, Lance. No, it wasn't so much a punk. I wanted to do a hard rock album, just rock out. And Bob Hemritt was on there with me. I called the band the Barnet Dogs, but it was a good album, What was the other song you mentioned?
So this is Eden from Bad
Something
English.
between- yeah, that was with Bad English. That was with that was Jonathan Cain and John
Yeah,
Waite.
Jonathan. Mhm.
Yeah. I went to LA to do that with them, and we did the two in 2 days. We did the 2 songs, and Jonathan
Okay.
was. We were in the apartments. What are the apartments in LA? There's some apartments. I went to the wrong one first, so I turned up at their place probably about an hour and a half late, and they were sitting there wondering if I was ever going to turn up. I said I went to the wrong place, Anyway, we wrote a song, and we got on really well. And I've written with John since then. I wrote with John at my house, actually. I enjoy his company a lot as well. Yeah.
Well, it was funny. I don't know if you know this, but I was going back in my own memory. The song Riding with the Angels, when Bruce Dickinson stepped away from Iron Maiden, he went out on a solo tour in 1990 called Tattoo Millionaire. And they played these little clubs in the States. He opened the show. That was his show opener, Riding with the Angels. I didn't know the song. And we're like, what's this song? This is a driving, heavy song. Come to find out, here it is 30-something years later. I'm talking to the man that wrote it.
Yeah. But there were some good songs on there. There was another song. That was a good album. I think that was a good album of its kind. That was a really good album, I think. I had a hit with that, actually, believe it or not. I had a hit. That was On the Rebound. I was still singing like that. In fact, Uriah Heep covered it, and they did a really good version of it. Mine was pretty good, but I was putting on this voice to sort of make it sound a little weird, if possible, and but that's one of the songs I did with Ringo.
Wow.
I did that song with Ringo.
Okay.
There's a version of Ringo's out there somewhere that hasn't been mixed. I'll have to have a word with him to find out, because I'd love to get it. My dad died when we were working together, so I left Copenhagen where we were recording and went home. So he did phone me and say to me, Russ, where are the master tapes? Where are the tapes? And I said, I don't know. I came home back to see my mum, when my dad died. But he recorded 5 of my songs, but one of them was On the Rebound. And did you ever hear Uriah Heep's version of that?
I was actually playing it the other day, and we had Bob Daisley on for an episode recently.
Oh, right.
And Bob played on that verse. He was in Uriah Heep in the early 80s, so it's all connecting for us.
Yeah. On the rebound. He did it like that, which was really good. But it's all good, Lance. It's all good. Everything is good. It's good to be here, and it's good to be have my fingers working, and and I run every day. I had my trainer today, and I'm going on a tour of Germany. How bad is that? It's brilliant, isn't it? I'm so lucky.
It's awesome.
I know
You
I'm
are
lucky.
very fortunate.
Yeah,
We're fortunate to be able to speak to you and keep you going and all of that other stuff. So before I let you go, what are your plans for 2025? I mean, you're going to promote this new album. What's the rest of the year looking like in the future?
Yeah. Well, at the moment, I'm just focusing. It's like when football teams say, we're just focusing on the next game. We're not looking any further forward. I'm just focusing on the tour that's coming up. I'm hoping there's going to be some more stuff going on. I think I did mention it to you. There's going to be a British tour. There was going to be a British tour that was cancelled because one of my musicians got to have an operation and one thing and another. So that's cancelled for England. But I'm going to do more. I always do a show. I always do a show every year. I do a show in Portugal for my friend. I've got a great friend that promotes out there, and I called him he calls me his new father, and is my new son. And
Awesome.
He's got a great family, and it's the best show you could ever at the casino in Estoril. And he always makes this incredible show. And the day before we get there, and he has a party for us, and it's magic, it's magic. And his name's Emmanuel. And I hope he hears this because they're an amazing family. If you're there, Emmanuel, lots of love.
Oh, that's good. Well, we wish you the best of luck this year. So for more information on Russ Ballard, head over to russballardmusic.com for all of his information. and links to his socials. So, Rush, I really appreciate your time this morning and yesterday. This has been a unique one.
Thanks a lot. God bless you.
So, for my guest, Russ Ballard, I'm Metal Walt, and this is Metal Mayhem ROC.
Metal for life.
Thank you for listening to Metal Mayhem ROC. Check out our website at metalmayhemroc.com for information on podcasts, archives, links to all our live radio shows, and all sorts of info. Please like, follow, and share with everyone, even your non-metal friends. And always remember to keep it heavy.